This short video is just going to introduce you to Sicon WAP invoice approvals and show you how to get in and approve your first invoices. We'll also run through a few other features that you might want to use as well. So first things first, you need to get into Sicon. So if you open up any web browser, go to the address bar and type in wap.solutionssharedservices.co.uk, press enter. That'll take you to this login screen. Now you're going to need a username and password here. Make a note of those, go back to this screen here and type them in. Your username isn't case sensitive, but your password is. So you'll probably want to change your password since this will be a temporary one. So just before you press log on here, click this little icon here, and then when you click log on, that will pop up with the option to set a new password. If at any point you forget your password, type in your username up here, press forgot password here, and then press new code. When you press that, you'll get this little notification to say you will receive an email. Click yes, go to your emails, and open it up. Go back to the website, paste it in, and then press reset. You can then type in a new password. Press save. You get this little note to say it's successful, and then that is your new password. You go in here, type in your new password, press log on, and then that will take you into the system. So this is the main home screen that you'll see when you come into Sicon WAP. What it's showing you is a brief summary of how many items you have to approve by category. And at the moment, we're only using invoices. So you should see invoices, and then you might see a number next to that. Down here is a list of notifications related to the approvals that you need to make. You can dismiss those notifications, but the items will still stay in your queue. So to see a few more details about some of these items and start approving, you can press either the 9 up here, or whatever number it happens to be. You can press any of these items here, or you can go over to the left, click Invoices, Approve Invoices. You may have more or less options than I have here. Don't worry about it. You should have Invoices, Approve Invoices. Click on that, wait a little, and that will bring up a list of all of the invoices in your in tray. Now to see a few more details about these, you can click this arrow here, and it'll expand that item out so you can see the extra details. First thing, you'll see the invoice here. Have a little scan through that, familiarise yourself with it, and make sure that it's something that you recognise. And then if you click this Lines tab here, this will give you a bit more information about how that's been coded when the accounts payable team were posting it. So you can see they've written a short narrative here. Here's the amount, and here's where that part of the invoice has been coded to. So you want to be getting yourself comfortable with a few things here. You want to make sure that you're comfortable that the invoice is valid, that it should be paid. You should be comfortable that the right supplier has invoiced you and that they have supplied the thing that they're invoicing for. Then over here you want to make sure that it's been posted correctly. Now what this is showing you may differ from the face of the invoice. In some cases, we get invoiced in bulk for services that have been provided across many of our sites, and so you may only be given a portion of that invoice. In those cases, this amount up here should match back to the invoice, but this amount here is just showing your portion of it. So it's important that you check that the amount that has been allocated to your approval line is correct and valid, and that you understand it. And also that this amount here matches back to the invoice to make sure there are no errors when it was being entered. You also need to check that the nominal account that's been chosen is appropriate. The format of this is the 4-digit nominal code here, then a cost center, and then a department. For all of the services, the cost center, this middle bit, will define which service the cost relates to. The department for services will just be SVC, and you can ignore it. For shared services department, this is the bit that defines it. So here, this is going to bank charges, which is nominal code 7600. It's going to the head office department of operations education. The other thing to check in here is whether it's got a project code. So for CapEx spend and a lot of repairs and maintenance spend, we would expect there to be a project code here. And the estates team will be in the approval cycle to double check that the project code that's been chosen is appropriate. You can also add notes here. If you go to the Notes tab, select this toggle, you can type what you like. You then press Save Notes, and that will be added to the record. The Approval History tab gives a little bit of information of how the invoice has got through to you, whether anyone has approved it before that point. Once you're happy, you can either approve or reject it, or you can put the invoice on hold. Assuming you want to approve it, you can either approve all here, and that will approve the entire invoice records to the extent that it's allocated to you. Or some invoices might have multiple lines that are all allocated to you here. You can either approve or reject them line by line, or you can do the entire invoice record here. To put something on hold, you type a short explanation in here as to why you're putting it on hold, and then click this button. Usually you'd use that for items where there might be a dispute with the supplier, and you're just waiting for that dispute to be resolved before you'll approve it. You're not necessarily rejecting it, but you might want to approve it at a later date, and you don't want anyone to come in and approve it in the meantime, and you don't want anyone chasing you. You want to make clear that there is a reason that you haven't approved it yet. When it's on hold, it will stay in your queue, but no one else will be able to approve it. To make sure that once the dispute or whatever reason there is for it being on hold has been resolved, you come back in and you unhold it. This button will have changed to an unhold invoice button. If you were to press approval, this invoice would either, if you had the appropriate approval limits, just go back to the accounts payable team to be paid, or if the invoice was above your level, it'll go off to the next person in the chain. If you were to press reject, you would get a little prompt just asking you for an explanation of why you're rejecting it. It's very important that this is filled out, because at this point, this invoice record will go back to the accounts payable team to make a change. And if they don't have any comments for why you rejected it, they won't know what change to make in order to make it right. So here's where you type in your reason. And then you press reject down here. So if I press approval here, press OK, then that will then disappear out of my queue and go on to the next approve if necessary. The other thing that you will need to do, if you're going away, you go up to this personal WAP settings box up here. Again, you may have some different options here, but it's this one that looks like a calendar of the cog. Go over here and click on next to out of office, and this will mean that any approval request that would have come to you can be allocated to somebody else. So you choose the person from the list here and press out of office. When you get back, come in here and press off, and then everything will revert to normal. The other option that some people may have available here is delegate switching. So some managers may have the ability to log in as their team members. What you do is you go up here, click the drop down box, and then look for the staff member you want to switch to. If you start typing in their name, it will start filtering for you, so you don't have to scroll down through all the pages. And then when you click on that, you will be seeing Sicon as if you were that team member, and you can do approvals on their behalf. The system will record that approval as having been made by the team member, but will record a note saying that it was done by their manager on their behalf. The final thing to look at is looking at invoices which you have approved in the past and their current status. So if you go over here to invoices and existing invoices, this will give you a list of all of the invoices that you're able to see. Under my user here, I'm able to see every single nominal line, but yours will be restricted for most people. But what this should give you is a few filtering options on all the invoices that have passed through your Sicon login. So you can either click here and see all of the items that are awaiting your approval, and as with the other screen, you are able to approve from here. You just click the edit button and then proceed as before. Or you can click this show invoices credits I have approved button, and that will show you everything that you have done in the past. If you click on this completed line here, so you can see this is the one that I approved just now. And you can go in and view it as before. And you can also see the paid status. So if those invoices, if you're being chased by a supplier, you can go in and see whether they've been paid or not over here. Now that might not mean that the cash has hit the supplier's account yet. If it was paid very recently, most payments take 2 days to hit.